Hey everyone, it's time for day 9 of Alone with You. You'll recall last time we went to the communications tower and we got blown up, but we survived. And then we spent some time with Winnie in the hollow chamber. So let's see what today brings. Corey says, "Good morning. Can you believe the week is almost over already? You've got one more mission this week, and I'm picking up readings of a storm again. Better come to the core." So first things first, let's look at the monitor in the kitchen. This place is looking dirty as usual. You know, the data you collected from those faulty parts of the tower allowed Miss Laurier to identify possible issues with the escape ship. In a way, yesterday's events have helped us anticipate more potential failure points. Miss Laurier has saved us some time, in fact, with this new information. She actually seemed a bit introspective in her work report. She mentioned something about a story. I think she was a bit distracted. And so we must continue our work, I suppose. At least we're seeing progress in the ship. Alright. And I guess we probably have to go see Corey, as we do every day. There's only one more area you can visit today, and it's a good thing too. Those storms are coming back around. Let's get this mission over with so you can return before it gets too bad out there. My projections don't look good. Yeah, so I think the last place that we have left is the, what is it? The other colony, Colony B. So let's go ahead and go, well, yeah, they all say either inaccessible or mission complete, so we have to go to Colony B. And Colony B is where this Pierre dude was, and he's like, I guess the sort of leader of the colony. But he ran away from his post, and we don't really know why. But this time we're going to the medical center. Corey says, "This was Colony B's medical center. Much of it looks like it collapsed in the Rift event. I don't imagine it will be pleasant in there. I'd rather not go in at all, but you need to find medical supplies. Just go on in and let's take a look around." All these building exteriors sure look a lot alike, but at least the interiors look pretty different. Oh my, it's even worse than I imagined. Those poor people. Well, let's do what we came for and get out of here. We need to look for medical supplies. They're usually in red containers. Obviously, I'm not just looking for red containers, but for anything that I can, is that a bloody handprint on there? That's the self-triage terminal. Patients used it to file their issues quickly. It might still be able to read a data card. I like how he just doesn't even comment on the bloody handprint. Like, that's normal in a hospital. Alright, so we need to find a password. That's not too unusual, given the other places that we've been. Alright, so we can so far go to the ICU or the medical lab. Let's go to the medical lab first. Great, that is a large package of standard medical rations. Your scan indicates its contents are still intact and viable. Must be more supplies available. Please keep looking. Well, I mean, what do I need rations for? Like, I already have a food supply. What I need is medical supplies, like gauze and antiseptic or stuff like that. Alright, we got a dead body here. That's the body of Nurse Darius Simonis. His remains include several cracked ribs and a bruised skull. Man, that guy really got, hecked up. Nurse Simonis didn't take well to colony life after a while, and though he was well liked by other colonists, he could be devious. I still have access to a security report regarding Mr. Simonis. Apparently after several years, he started getting into fights. How did Nurse Simonis contract those particular injuries, I wonder? This dude seems like he started a fight club on the colony. That's the impression I get, anyway. Or I guess maybe he just was like, I don't know, fighting people for fun. Like, maybe he started a gang or something. Other ICU rooms are completely blocked off by the destruction. Got a note here. It's a faded handwritten note. You might not be able to see the ink very well, but I can read its traces for you. It says, Darius, inability to run CAT scan means we can't properly diagnose. Use code MEDFILES to access the main system and see previous history. That's good, we needed that password. That room is in quite a state. Those remains you just scanned are so compromised, I can't determine to whom they belong. Oh my, I'm afraid those are the remains of Nurse Yagmur Dahl. What kind of name is Yagmur? That sounds like a eldritch god or something. Yagmur Drasil. She was one of the more senior nurses before the Rift event. By the looks of that room, her body sustained serious exposure to the elements, but in her pocket is a data pad I can read. Nurse Dahl's shift log, February. You know what? I'm probably the only one still doing this. I hoped later crews would benefit from our experience. It's been 8 months now since that quake ruined the colony. Without a connection to the AI, we're flying blind in so many ways. Oh, I didn't realize this game was taking place so long after this disaster. Like, 8 whole months? And they seem to have, like, you know, they were struggling, but still making it work to some degree. They weren't all dead. But at some point between that time and whenever this game is taking place, I guess things got worse. The word was that Supervisor Tong was leading a team to Colony A to repair communications and get supplies. That was 2 months ago. We're doing the best we can. Oh, so maybe the Tong guy didn't flee his job, he just went on this mission and something happened to him and his team. In which case he's not as much of a scumbag as was previously hinted at. But yeah, it doesn't seem like there's much else to look at here. We did get that password, medfiles. So I think I went in here, right? Yeah, I did. So let's go use that password and see what it gets us. The password to unlock it. Do you want to enter a password? Of course. Med files. Okay, we're in the main medical network. I've used it to disable the locks in that room. You should be able to use the doors there now. Oh, this is interesting. There are medical records for most of the colonists. Some are missing or corrupted. What's notable, however, is that the records for our 4 special colonists are absent as well. There might be hard copies of those records somewhere else, perhaps even in areas you've already been. Keep an eye out for them while you're looking for those medical supplies. I don't know why I'm so interested in those files, though. I mean, medical history is supposed to be confidential. So I guess this is the main door that was just unlocked. Need a password for the X-ray lab. I assume it's not the same one I already have. But I can get in here. Got a medical Roomba. That operation assistant drone was destroyed in the collapse. We can't even salvage his parts for use elsewhere. Why's it gotta be a he? Oh, that's even an option. His? Please accept my apologies. You are correct. That was needlessly sentimental. The drone has no gender, of course. Well, I mean, I wasn't saying that it can't have a gender, but why's it gotta be a man Roomba? You see a dick on that Roomba? 'Cause I don't. How about balls? No balls! The room is a complete write-off. There are medical drones buried underneath as well. Not all the casualties were human. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Probably more drones under there. What is this thing? It looks like half of a giant sandwich. You appear to have found medical records on Agrodome's chief, Leslie Banana Peel. There are some very interesting details in here. I shouldn't be reading this file. According to this, Miss B suffered from mild claustrophobia. It says that she often complained about it when she was required to be in the main colony facility. I mean, who doesn't suffer from mild claustrophobia? If you're in a tight space, you're not gonna be happy. Also says that she experienced mild allergies, not to the same earth plants she was cultivating, but to some of the natural elements from this planet. Apparently, in her attempts to adapt flora to the local environment and to create new breeds, she developed new allergies and came here seeking help for them. Now, there should only be 3 more medical records to find. I mean, sure, but still don't understand why I'm trying to find them. You didn't sell me on your snooping you're trying to do here, Corey. So I can go to North Corridor. Still don't have the password for that X-ray lab, so seems like I have to go here. And we got an ER. We got this, found another set of hand-drawn schematics. These seem even more complex than the last, but they're difficult to make out. We've been affected by exposure to increasingly tainted air. They mentioned something about improving speed. I think you should mention these to Mr. Tong when you meet him in the holosim chamber. He might be able to help. Yeah, we'll show them. We'll show him those plans. Another broken Roomba. The drone has become completely corroded due to exposure. I mean, it is in a puddle of the acid rain. It likely served to the very end. You would hope so. That's what robots are for, right? Okay, so we have operating theater and that ER. Let's just go to the operating theater since we're right next to it. Can look in this sink, which, if you have the option, always look in the sink. Who knows what kind of treats you'll find. The water in those scrub stations is putrid and filthy. There are even small vines growing out of it, like the ones you found in the agrodomes. Sounds like kind of a gross sink. Got a dead body here. You've discovered the body of Dr. Lance Megorian. He was a brilliant surgeon and a major asset to the facility. And a major ass. The doctor wasn't always popular with his subordinates, however. He was very impatient with staff who couldn't keep up with him. God. So he was an ass. Sounds like, why are all doctors always like, they think, oh, I'm so great, and anyone who's even like a little bit less competent than me is a worthless human being. Those are scrubs for the medical staff to wear when entering the operating room. They're supposed to be clean. They don't look that clean. Your scan, though, indicates they aren't as sterilized as they should be. The staff were likely working in increasingly difficult conditions. That makes sense. Alright, so this is really just the hallway to the operating theater. Man, this place doesn't look like the kind of place you want to be performing medical operations. There's like dead alien looking garbage on the ground, and like there's a dead body right in here. That's Dr. Li Zhu, the head surgeon. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, but let's go with it. She was incredibly ambitious and one of the youngest surgeons Hudson Cartier ever employed. According to my records, Dr. Li was a huge proponent of using drones for research and practice. She was very forward-thinking. This was a major point of contention between her and Dr. Megorian, and he didn't think kindly of non-human medical staff. Why? Dude, robots are probably way better at medical stuff than humans. Like, you don't have to worry about them being biased or thinking that you're lying about something when you're not, or thinking they're so smart that whatever the first thing they think of has to be right. Or like in surgery, human doctors need to have a steady hand, but a robot, it's as steady as can be. It's got much better precision. I mean, give me a robot doctor anytime. So we found an access card. Doesn't look like someone's personal data, more like a system card. You'll have to find a way to read it. I think in the lobby there was a computer that would let us read this. Medical records for Expedition and Resource Management Lead Jean Lumumba. This record is long. How long is it? But I can pull the salient details. He began to experience occasional but serious lumbar. They should call him Jean Lumumbar pain. No, that was bad. Serious lumbar pain a couple years ago, likely from all the physical labor he insisted on doing. And then, while working in the caves, Mr. Lumumba suffered a leg fracture and underwent laser reconstruction here at the facility. Because of Mr. Lumumba's continuous activity, the fracture continued to bother him and made his work more difficult. I have notes here about many subsequent medical visits. Now there should only be 2 more medical records to find. Someone left some tissues here. Apparently this was also the masturbatorium of the medical center. Unfortunately, that batch of antibiotics and other general meds have been exposed and are no longer usable. What an unfortunate waste. Let's not give up hope just yet. There must be something else there you can use. Keep your eyes open. I'm betting there is not. Oh wait, there is one thing I can look at. Which thing? The theater table normally has very modern, elaborate equipment next to it. Those tools, however, are less than ideal. There's a non-functioning data pad and an old-fashioned theater record book next to it. Some of the pages in the notebook are of interest. Patient W. King. Procedure: spinal fracture, nano rebuild. Staff: Elma Gorian, surgeon, D. Simonis, assisting. Complications: seismic event during op, cause jump in delivery beam, fracture not 100% closed. Patient will experience limited mobility if we cannot revisit this. I hope they were able to revisit it. I want to examine this, paint bucket with a wrench next to it, because what the heck is that doing in an operating room? But they won't let me look at it. I think I've seen everything there is to see here. We did get an access card. So we'll look at that later. For now, let's look at this ER. As the seismic events became worse, it must have been increasingly difficult to run a stable medical facility. You're telling me. Got a bunch of dirty beds here. Scan shows a disturbing collection of material on that bed. Reduced supplies likely meant a less than ideal scenario in there. Found the medical records for comms relay chief Winnie Laurier. They are unfortunately not a happy collection of notes. She experienced anxiety throughout the duration of her post here. She had trouble relating to the other colonists, and that led to pronounced cases of stress. Yeah, I think we already suspected all that. Eventually, she was diagnosed with depression, though according to those notes, she never really accepted that diagnosis. I wonder why. I mean, this is set in the future, right? So you would think that, mental health issues would have become somewhat more, normalized and accepted within society compared to how it is now. Like, it's already getting somewhat better because everyone knows someone who has depression or something else. So wonder why there's enough of a stigma here in this future timeline that she's still so reluctant to admit that she's depressed. Anyway, those nutritional supplements will help you survive the long trip in the escape pod. We're lucky there was any stock left. Still, I think it's in your best interest to find as many supplies as you can while you're there, so keep looking. Looks like the ER was quite busy at the time. There are numerous reports of fractures and major injuries. Okay. Did I find another data card? I think I did, but I don't think there's an inventory in this game that you can look at on the fly, or if there is, they haven't told me a button that I could use to look at it. Alright, so this thing lets me use data cards. Like that is a sysadmin bypass card. Inserting it brought up a debug menu of sorts. Most of what's here is useless, but there is a file that can be accessed. There's a truncated account of the last patient processed. Date 2060, April 23rd. Patient O. McKenna, malady, danger to self and others. Sounds like a personal problem. It continues. To my great dismay, Mr. McKenna had to be contained. Please forgive me for what I had to do. What did you have to do? Another note in the file says, don't open up his room until you're sure he has grown dangerous. Use YYMMDD, but only if it's safe. When did that happen? 2060? And I think that's like years ago compared to when this game is taking place, so there shouldn't be any danger of like me opening that thing up and then, some crazy dude busting out at me. Probably. I think it was what, YYMMDD they said? Oh, maybe they meant like the date from that note, because that would require a little bit more thought and therefore be a somewhat more engaging puzzle of sorts. Alright, so 2060, 423, so YYMMDD is 600423. Yeah. Gotta skip through that or I'll forget the numbers, which I'm already forgetting them as we speak. 600423. There we go. Oh boy! That room is in quite a state. It must smell quite strong in there. Good thing I can't smell it, I'm just playing a video game. Right, we got medical supplies. Looks like you found a decent cache of supplies and medication that we can keep for our journey. Think you found all the medical supplies you're going to, however, you still need to find all 4 of those medical records. I don't need to, Corey. You're just so nosy. You ever heard the expression, curiosity killed the Corey? That is what's left of X-ray technician Obaseki McKenna. He appears to have been locked away in that lab for some time. He likely died of malnutrition in the end, which would have been most unpleasant. He was clutching a letter. Lee, it took me a long time, but I forgive you. I know you did what you had to. I'm so sorry for everything. What I did to Darius was unforgivable. I know that now. Okay, so it seems like this dude probably beat up that other dude with the like bruised up body. And then, so it wasn't Fight Club, he just got assaulted by this dude, and then in response to that, that other Dr. Lee was like, this guy is a danger to himself and others. I'll lock him up in this room. And then they did, and then he eventually died of malnutrition, but seems like he felt bad about beating up that guy, so like why didn't they all just calm down a bit and then, you know, talk it over, figure out that this guy wasn't a danger anymore, and then, you know, let him get back to helping out around the medical place. Like you beat up one guy and suddenly it's you can never be forgiven again. That doesn't seem fair. I mean, violence is bad. Yes, that I will agree with that, but still, like, it doesn't make you an irredeemable person. It's just something you should be punished for, or otherwise repent for, and then, you know, people should forgive you. Depending on what it is, of course. Looks like you've scanned medical records for Director Pierre Tong. You will no doubt find this interesting. He was known to work very long hours, and at one point his work ethic led to extreme exhaustion. It was Jean Lumumba who checked him into medical after one extreme case. But Mr. Tong, as you may know, was very stubborn and continued to work very hard, possibly to his detriment. His record also notes suspected painkiller abuse. Despite this, he was checked in several more times for extreme exhaustion throughout the years. Well, that's pretty relatable. I feel extremely exhausted all the time. That's just part of life, isn't it? Well, that's all 4 of our colonists' medical records. I wonder if Mr. Tong will have any opinion on these when you visit him in the Holosim chamber. Finally, that's over with. I don't want you stay there another moment. Head to the shuttle and come on back home. Seems like this place took about as long to explore as most of the other ones. Oh, that was very difficult to experience. I don't think so. What's wrong, Corey? The conditions in there when the Rift event blocked off access, I had no idea how bad it really was. Your scans revealed so much disease and filth. The colony became just as dangerous and toxic inside as it did out here. Only now am I truly realizing how disastrous losing contact with this place was. Maybe it's best if you just get home safely. I'm sure the van will get me home safe. I never really thought about it, but I wonder if the music that happens when you're taking the van to a place is different than the music that plays when you're coming back. Because that seems like the kind of thing this game might do. It has a lot of different, like, neat little pieces of music. Corey says, "Well done today. I know it wasn't easy. Please come to the core right away so we can process your findings." So, I guess we'll deliver our data to Corey, as we always do, then go to bed, as we always do. Okay, all the data you collected today is synced and ready to be worked on. You did well out there. Since you went to Colony B, you'll be able to visit Mr. Tong in the HoloSim chamber tonight. You can retire to your quarters when you're ready. I'll call for you when the HoloSim chamber is available. I wonder what we will talk to Pierre Tong about this evening. It's time. I wonder if we'll ever get to see what the main character looks like outside of their helmet. Like some sort of surprise endgame reveal or something. Or maybe that's part of the appeal and like putting yourself in the character is that you never see their face, so you can insert yourself in there more easily. But there is a sort of charm to the character design with the helmet and the scarf and everything. And the game certainly has an interesting visual style and like I like the sort of dreamy way that things are represented and the colors used. Ah, you're back. I assume that means you headed back to Colony B. Corey said, well, it mentioned the medical wing. How did that go? It was good. Must have had to get fresh supplies if the AI sent you there. Even before things got really bad, the medical facility was in rough shape. Listen, I can tell that the AI is having a very hard time with this, with seeing Colony B again, I mean. It may not realize it, but after the Rift event, well, a lot of the colonists began to resent it. I must confess, I don't really understand why. Yeah, it's not Corey's fault that the planets had a natural disaster that ruined a bunch of stuff. The Rift event stranded us. It wasn't the AI's fault. But for some reason I remember the people who were left getting more and more angry. The medical center you saw today, I think it did something to Corey. It seems different now. I can certainly understand. I watched a lot of good people succumb to terrible diseases and the stress of everything that was happening around us. What about you? Did you succumb to the stress? Me? Well, health-wise, I wasn't one of the worst cases. I was too busy to check myself in too much, especially after the Rift event. Things were hectic. On one hand, we were lucky. So much of the medical equipment Hudson Cartier equipped us with could be used without a technician. When our staff became compromised, we at least could get basic procedures done automatically. Kept everyone in decent shape for a good long while. But eventually, things had to be calibrated or maintained. And we kept losing the people who were best suited to do those things. And what's worse, AutoMed equipment can't help with the mental stresses that affected everyone. Only humans could, and we were all at the end of our rope, you know? I think all of us were affected, mentally and physically. I don't like to admit it, but I was no different. Honestly, it was just so difficult to see people like that as Colony B started to degrade. How about the medical records? Oh, I see. So it looks like you did some digging of your own while you were out there. Well, I mean, Corey made me do it. He made me. I didn't want to. I respect people's privacy, so, you know, stop smirking at me like that. Like I'm the a-hole here. Where did you get this? These were supposed to be confidential. Look, I know what you're thinking. What the report says is true. I did work too much. I had to. I was the director. I had an entire facility depending on me, you know? My biggest weakness is that I work too much and I'm too good of a leader. But what about the pills you were taking, bro? You some kind of pillhead? You have to tell me if you are. Painkillers? Well, yeah, if I'm being honest. For a while they were a problem, but only for a while. Until you ran out, you mean. As it says in the report, Jean brought me in at one point. He was worried about me. He was always worried about me. Yay. I was exhausted and it was affecting me. I was losing weight, unable to sleep. I think that's when Jean and I started to argue a lot. We were very close, you understand. I do understand. Listen, you don't have to be coy about it. You can just say that you were in love with Jean Lumumba. It's fine, I'm not gonna judge you. Anyway, we really helped each other see the flip side of the colony's operation. But we could butt heads a lot. After he checked me in, I got those painkillers. I convinced the doctors I need them, and for a while they dulled some of what was going on. Eventually, though, it was a problem. Jean and I continued to argue whenever we met. Maybe they were partly the reason we had such a falling out. But after he left to go off somewhere, I got off those damn things. Things were getting worse, and I knew I had to get everyone else through the mess. I don't remember much after that. I must have left too, but I don't know why or to where. But please believe me, I'm not that man anymore. Hell, I'm not a man of any kind really, but you know what I mean. It kind of seems like this guy is modeled after Dr. House from that House MD television program, in which the asshole doctor limps around and thinks he's smarter than everybody else and has like a Vicodin problem. It seems like this guy has hints of that. Oh, well, look at these. You found some schematics drawings, did you? I think drawings is implied by saying the word schematics. Like, what other kind of schematics are you gonna have? Schematic is a drawing. These look just like the ones you found before. It appears I was indeed busy trying to come up with something. These are unfinished, but they're concepts for how to increase the speed of the escape ship by modifying the thrusters. I can work with these, complete these notes, and talk to Corey so it knows what to do. This will go a long way to improve your escape ship. Thank you. It really helps, you know, to see that I was still trying in some way at least. Well, it seems like you're really getting the inside scoop on what everyone went through. But you've got your own trial, so let's talk about you. What would you say is what you worry about the most? Losing your mind or your body? I guess losing your mind, and if you're self-aware enough to realize it, that sounds pretty awful. I wonder if that has to do with your love of music. Even if you couldn't play, I imagine not being able to appreciate or comprehend music would be terrible. What is this guy talking about? Why does he think I'm obsessed with music? Did I say I liked music at some point and now he thinks like, oh well yeah, this guy's the music guy. He loves music. Music is his life. Anyway. The reason I ask is we've been talking so much about the stresses of what happened to us, but you've got your own problems now. And it's really important that you don't ignore how stressful it is. Don't just try to bottle that up and expect to make it out okay. We're all just working away on getting your ship ready, but staying focused is really important. So if you need to talk about anything, I'm here, okay? Thanks, Pierre. I appreciate you being here for me. No need to thank me, just come to me if you need to, that's all I ask. Sounds like you secretly want me to visit you. Well, I think we've probably used up enough of the colony's power for tonight, haven't we? Really has been great seeing you again. Please remember what I said. I'll be thinking about you while I work in here on the ship's thrusters. Listen, don't think about me too hard, guy. See you next time, and please keep an eye out for anything that might help me understand what happened. Yeah, sure thing, dude. Alright, so that's that. What did we do this time? We went to the medical center, found a bunch of dead people, snooped on everybody's medical files that we know in hologram form. Didn't really learn anything too new from it, except that I guess, the Pierre guy had a bit of a drug problem that he claims he got over. Um, and then we talked to Pierre a bit about how things, I guess, degraded over time. Overall, he seems like a lot less of a scumbag than, it initially seemed. Like, maybe he had a good reason to leave the colony be, and he wasn't just abandoning his job. And his whole like gay relationship with that Lumumba guy is sort of um endearing, and it makes you care about him a little bit more as a character. So yeah, I think I like him a little bit more now. um but yeah, so that's it for, I think this was day 9 of Alone with You. We'll see what happens next time. Until then, thanks for watching and take care.